Alright, this is going to be a walkthrough of taking this gorgeous Collector's Edition Star Wars Galactic Empire Titan XP, and we're going to take this cooler off of it, and we're going to put on the hybrid SC cooler from EVGA that I happened to pick up off of Amazon for like $80, so well worth it. And so we're just going to dive right into this. Alright. So, we got my trusty iFixit toolkit here. Gonna move this up here. And we're going to just start by just taking every screw out of the back of this. I'm going to put my little tray here. And so these really tiny screws, you get your number 0, Phillips head. I believe it's number 0 if I remember right. It'll work anyway. And you just take, and you don't need to keep track of these screws unless you just want to know where they go back in, because the kit comes with its own screws. And I can only see a couple of differences from the 1080 Ti. Now, the 1080 Ti has 3 screws across here, so I'm guessing the other 2 screws are going to be underneath the board. And there's 2 screws not there either that normally would be. So let's see if we can't get this back cover off first before we go any further, just on the off chance that there is something significantly different that might actually stop this from working like I've been told it does. Okay. I got those. Oh, I still got these 2 in here. Oops. Normally there's 4 right here. So we're going to take those 2 out. Alright, and now this lifts up. Damn. What the hell's holding it on? There's something holding this on still. Which makes no sense because there are no screw holes left. Alright, so we're gonna looks like it's right. Oh, are they hidden underneath these labels? Did they go and Gus? God damn it, do I have to destroy my backplate logo to... Yep. They hid the screws for the back plate underneath these labels. Which means I gotta peel back. If I can figure out how to peel this one back without completely destroying it. going to be a pain in the butt to get that off. Everything else is loose, so there's just that one screw that's hidden behind the collector's edition label, which I was not expecting. Let's see if we can't get under this. No, that's not going to work. Gotta figure out how to get this out, because there is no going any further unless I can get this one out. Okay. Let's try spinning it around. Jesus. They really got that label down on there tight. Okay. Damn it. Damn it, I damaged the sticker. But at least I got it started, so it's not a complete lost cause. Wasn't for nothing. And there's the final screw. Alright. And that's everything that holds the back plate on. So we're going to set the back plate to the side. We now have, we got two other large screws here. You got one right there in the middle. And we're going to go ahead and take that guy out. Take this other one out. I think this is another difference from the 1080 Ti. This, from what I remember, the 1080 Ti has only had a single screw here. Okay. Yeah, they don't use the two screws there. They've got those for the mounting pressure, but they don't actually have screws going into them. And this one doesn't have a screw going into it. Let's see where that lines up. Here. Yeah, so that would be like right under this corner right here. There's no screw there either. Alright, we've got the 4 spring-loaded screws that actually hold the GPU die in place. And then one more. that puts that in, and now we get our number 4. I believe it is, if I remember right. Yeah, we get our number 4 out of the iFixit kit. And we just work our way through, taking out all of these guys. Alright. Got 3 more of these, and then we got the last ones that are around the actual GPU core itself. So we'll get these 3 down at the end. And you don't really have, these are all pretty much the same. The only ones that might be different are these 4. So I'm just going to toss all of them together. Alright. Oh, that one is on there. No, that looks to be the same as the others. Check. Yeah. There's no heat pads or anything on the others. There's a little one right there. Stayed on the board. Alright. Okay. And this will be the last one. Alright. And now we're gonna, that's, dang, this thing is in here tight on this one. Oof. Okay. Oh, man, talk about a tight squeeze. Okay. It looks like we do have one minor variation. Or 10 minor variations. Okay. Looks like we got 2 LED headers. Where... Alright. So we're going to take our tweezers. Oops. Okay, not those guys. Let's get our regular tweezers here. And what we're going after right now is we want to get right in here, and we want to get this connector out. So we're going to grip the sides of the connector. And okay, and that's our fan. Now on the other side here, let's see if I can do this where you guys can see it. Right in here, there's 2 LEDs connectors, and they are tight. This card was not made to come apart. That's for damn sure. let's get the pick and come in here and pry this LED connector off, because that's just too dang tight to get to it any other way other than right here, right now. Okay. What I'm doing, if you guys want to see, obviously, if you're watching this, you do. Right in here, I'm kind of pushing that in there to try to pop out that connector. I've gotten one of them. I'll show you when I get this off. And man, that is one tight little. Damn, broke the tip. There we go, freedom. Okay. So, what it was is the Titan here has two connectors instead of the one single connector, and as you can see right here, these connector lengths are like stupidly short, like so much so that I don't know how I'll ever get this back on when the time comes, if the time comes to go back. Okay, so let's see if we can't get this heat pad. Okay. Oh, what a piece of crap. That thermal pad is just complete garbage. So let's just get the rest of that thermal pad there. Oh, what a just complete piece of garbage of a thermal pad right there. So we're gonna set this right here. We're gonna take our thermal pad off of there and put it over here, off of here, and that one shredded apart. Wow, man. These are some low quality thermal pads. Did not have this much trouble with the 1080 Ti's. And we're just putting all these thermal pads over because the kit has its own set of thermal pads. So we don't need any of these thermal pads. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you take the cooler off. We're going to set the cooler off to the side. And I'm going to grab a couple more tools. Alright, now we're getting our alcohol and our coffee filters. Wow, this is already 20 minutes long. Alright, we're going to do just an initial wipe off of the thermal paste. Then we're going to take and alcohol on the coffee filters. And we're gonna just wipe all that down just to get all the crap off the top there. And we just want a nice, clean, shiny right there. And so that's good. And now we begin the actual process of rebuilding. So I'm going to put this stuff out of the way. And we're going to open up our hybrid kit. And we're going to find, we've got the instruction manual, which we will reference a few times. It actually had instructions for just some of the regular 1080 Ti's. We got our screw kits. You will not use all of these different bags for different kits because this fits a couple different coolers, and so there's certain ones for certain things. So you won't be using all of those. The first piece to go on comes out of the bag, and this is the cooling. This is the memory cooler, and apparently they don't have tape on these thermal pads because otherwise they wouldn't be sticking to the bag that way. And so since these are full strip thermal pads, you don't have to worry about putting one on each individual thing. This has, here, let me pull out the copper. This has thermal paste all along here, which allows it to sink into the other spot, which we'll get to in a little bit. So first things first, we need to line up the 4 holes. Come on, there we go. Yeah, pretty sure that got it. So I'm going to hold that with my finger, and we can see in there and see the 4 lined up. So we're going to set that back down, and we're going to reference the install manual, and it says we want the number 14 standoff screws. If we refer back to the start, if we refer back to this point, we find number 14, and it lists a size here, and it also lists a part number. So we go to our bag of screws right here, and we find the bag with the corresponding part number on it. Okay, so it's not that. None of these zip ties. We'll get to you later, and you later, and we don't even use you. Alright, so we need number 14, which is part number ending in 25100. So we find 25100, 101. Nope. 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 There it is. 25100 has exactly 4. So we got to set this back out of the way. We're going to get our 4 screws here, and that one just slid underneath. Alright, and So holding that down so it won't fall off, I'm going to turn over. I'm going to get the first one of these threaded. And when you're holding it, be careful not to touch the thermal paste, like so. Alright, and this uses the same number 4 driver that the ones that we took out used. So you don't even have to switch your driver. And don't tighten them all down until you get them all started. So get all 4 of these started and only have them like half tight, because it's a good practice. Alright, and there, and there. Alright, and now all 4 are started, so we can go ahead and we can just tighten these down until they stop. Okay, that one's tight. Slipped off there. And that one's tight. And then that one's tight. And this one's tight. Okay, so that was the 4 holding that on. Then the next step is to mount, let's see here, they have you, yeah, the next one is to mount the VRM cooler. That's this bag right here. And again, it's stuck to the bag. That's how you know. Ah, damn it. Come on. Stay on the part. Stay on the part. Don't get stretched. Alright, so we got to lift this up and reset it down. Alright. And so this is all... Okay, yeah, that's right. And so this corresponds to the turns there. And so these 3 thread through those 3. Ooh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's clear. Okay, I was worried. And so we're going to line those 3 up. Okay. And so then that gets secured with the number 13 screws. So we refer back to our chart and we want the one ending in 25094. So we're looking for 25094, 093, 094. And for some reason they gave us 4 of these, even though we only need 3. Okay. And now we're going to hold the heat sink. Okay. I'm going to hold the heat sink in place. These were the ones that, if you remember back to the start of the video when we were pulling everything apart, that one and that one were the ones that were hidden underneath the stickers that we had to peel back for the Titan. And that would normally not have stickers there if it was any other card other than the Star Wars card. Okay. Okay. And let's get one more right here in the middle. I don't know if the camera is going to last long enough. just, and this is why you don't tighten things all the way down. Let's make sure this is a little bit loose here and a little bit loose there. Gotta do just a little bit of shifting to get that third one lined up in its hole just right. And that's the name of the game, more than anything. If that's one thing I could teach you guys, you're gonna have a lot of just real fine tweaking to do. And I'll show you that toward the end of the video, because this fan is one of the key sources of needing to do tweaking. Alright, so that's got the VRM heatsink fan on there now. Then the next phase is to take the little rubber boot and just slide that little rubber boot right over this extended piece of metal right here until it sits down flush to the card. That's just kind of your wire guide for your tubes for your radiator. And so the next step in this process was installing the actual pump. But before I get into that, I'm going to take a look at the phone. Okay. And hopefully we've got enough battery to do this. I might just go and plug the phone in real fast. So I'm going to do that just to make sure we don't run out of battery. Okay. Alright. We won't run out of battery. And hopefully we won't run out of storage either. Because this is getting to be longer than I thought it was going to be video. Alright. So we've got this connection here that has this little pigtail is what actually goes over and plugs into the board. And that fan also plugs into it. This other connection comes back and is the fan connection for the fan on the water on the radiator. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to peel off the plastic here. Okay. Get the plastic out of the way. Before I go any further, I know this is the one that uses the spring screws that are part number 8, which is part number ending in 24330. So let's go ahead and find 24330. It's easy to spot because it's the spring-loaded ones. And that uses an actual regular Phillips head, which is a, let's see here, the Phillips head, it does not say. But I believe it was that we'll be able to use the number 0 or number 1. Typically, most everything on this kit's either 0 or 00, so we're going to use a 0 for this. What they tell you to do is you want this fan header here, the one that goes out to the water block or to the radiator, to be in between the two lines. And this other one, we're just going to tie it out of the way for right now. So what you're going to do you're going to pop the cover off, and you got pre-applied thermal paste right there. Take this guy, and with trying to keep that wire, you want to try to keep this wire running in the middle. I'm going to just let that drape over the edge here and come down and line up the holes. Bam. We've got the pump started. Now you got to hold the pump down, and it would help if there wasn't a radiator hanging off of it, but it is what it is. Alright, and we're going to dump out these 4 screws, and we're going to set the first one in place. And the nature of these springs, you're going to have to push down on it a little bit to get it started. And if it doesn't pop up, that means you got it started. See, like this one's popping back up. So let's see if we can't figure out why without letting go of the pump. Okay. Let's get this, see if we can't get another one started. I think the pump's just slightly crooked. Okay, got that one started. Okay, and we got that one actually tightened down. So now hopefully we get this final one going. And you're supposed to tighten these in a crisscrossing method, and what you'll feel is you'll be screwing them down and they're just going to snug up. And when they're tight, they're tight. They ain't going any further. No need to mess with anything else. You've got them. You've got those on. Now it's time for cable management, for lack of a better word. So pump's installed now. We got all that on. So now we've got this cable to deal with. And that's the cable that is what actually supplies power to the pump. And I'm going to run it right in there. And what we've got to do here is